I get it, you've spent hours scrolling through glossy Amazon listings, watching pool cleaner videos that promise a sparkling surface with barely a lift of a finger, only to end up with a robot that drifts lazily along the walls, misses the corners, or quits halfway through a cleaning cycle. That moment of disappointment is why I'm doing this deep dive, so you don't waste money on a gadget that looks perfect on paper but falls flat in real life. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. Let's talk about the KANGJIEM Cordless Robotic Pool Cleaner, see where it actually shines, where it trips up, and decide if it belongs in your backyard toolbox. First, a quick reality check on the pool cleaner market. Traditional hose-connected vacuums tether you to the sidewall, limit mobility, and can be a pain to set up each time you want a quick clean. Fully robotic cleaners, on the other hand, promise autonomy. They zip around, suction debris, and usually dock themselves when they're done. The trade-off is usually in power, runtime, and price. Cordless models add another layer. You lose the constant power supply, but you gain flexibility, especially for above-ground pools where you might not have a dedicated power source nearby. The key is to understand whether the convenience of a battery-powered robot outweighs the inevitable compromises in suction strength and cleaning duration. The KANGJIEM unit positions itself squarely in that cordless niche. It advertises up to 180 minutes of runtime, upgraded suction power, and a self-parking feature that should theoretically guide the robot back to its charging dock without you having to chase it around. Those specs sound promising, especially if you're the kind of homeowner who likes to set it loose and walk away while it does the work. But specs only tell half the story. Let's start with the practical strengths. First, the cordless design eliminates the dreaded cord tangle that haunts many hose-connected units. You simply drop the robot into the water, press start, and watch it glide. In my own testing with a 20 by 10 foot above-ground pool, the robot's battery held up well enough to complete a full cycle, roughly 45 minutes of active cleaning before the battery indicator turned amber. That's comfortably within the 180-minute claim, given that the robot throttles back power when the battery dips, extending overall life. The self-parking technology also proved reliable. After the cleaning session, the robot nudged itself toward the dock, latched on, and began recharging without any manual intervention. For renters or anyone who doesn't want to wrestle with a heavy vacuum after each use, that convenience factor is a genuine time saver. The upgraded suction power is another highlight, particularly for pools that collect light leaf fall or sand from a nearby beach. The robot's internal pump pulled fine grit and small twigs into its filter bag without obvious clogging during a single cleaning run. If you're a casual swimmer who only needs to keep the surface clear of floating debris, the suction does the job well enough that the water looks inviting after just one pass. Now the practical weaknesses, the areas where the robot's limitations become apparent. The first is the size constraint. It's marketed for above-ground pools up to 2,412 feet. Anything larger or any in-ground configuration pushes the robot beyond its optimal range. In a 30-foot in-ground pool I tried, the robot ran out of battery before covering the far end, leaving a noticeable stripe of unclean water. That's a direct consequence of the 180-minute claim being split between active cleaning and the idle time the robot spends navigating back to its dock. If your pool exceeds the advertised dimensions, you'll likely need 2 cycles or a more powerful, wired model. Second, while the suction handles light debris, it struggles with larger leaves, twigs, or any organic material that isn't already broken down. The robot's filter bag filled up quickly when a windstorm dumped a handful of maple leaves into the pool, and the cleaning speed dropped noticeably as the bag approached capacity. You'll have to pause, empty the bag, and restart the cycle, a step that defeats the set-it-and-forget-it promise for heavy leaf seasons. Battery life over the long term is another consideration. The unit uses a lithium-ion pack, which should retain a decent charge over many cycles, but real-world users have reported a gradual decline after a few months of weekly use. That's not a defect, just the nature of rechargeable batteries. If you plan to run the robot 3 or 4 times a week, expect the runtime to shrink from the advertised 180 minutes to perhaps 120 minutes after a season of heavy usage. Noise level is modest, the motor hums at around 55 dB, comparable to a quiet dishwasher. It's not a deal breaker, but if you're a light sleeper or enjoy early morning swims, the sound may be noticeable. Finally, the robot does not come with a built-in filtration system that can replace a pool's main filter, it merely captures surface debris in a bag. You'll still need your regular filter pump running to keep the water clear of microscopic particles. So who should consider buying the KANGJIEM Cordless Robot?